morning, Anne Claire. How are you today? I know it's your afternoon, but
Good morning, Meg.
Good
I
morning.
am doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great. I just came back from Dallas. I was visiting my sister who's having a baby in July. So
That
it
is
was
so
like,
exciting. Also, July babies are the best.
that's crazy. She's like, I don't know any Cancer women. And I was like, well, I do. I was like, Anne Claire and Talia
Yep.
are Cancers, and they are amazing. And you will be lucky to have a daughter who is a Cancer woman. So anyway, you were my main example, you and Talia. And then we have a best friend from high school who she forgot was born on July 11th. So
Oh, not okay.
I know. So it's like 3 top people in my life,
There we go.
Cancer women. And fun fact, I used to exclusively date Cancers, but that did not go well for me. Not intentionally. It just always happened to be within the first 2 weeks of July. These people, yeah, that was weird. That was a bad time.
And now you're like, okay, I'm going to stick to friends being Cancer, not people that I date.
People who I date who are Cancers, that's a no-no. Yeah. Dan's not a Cancer. He's a Capricorn. Nope, Aquarius. He's an Aquarius.
Huh. Well, there we go. Mm-hmm. You fixed it, finally. It's like, I found the issue. It was the wrong sign.
It was the wrong sign. But anyway, how are you doing? What's the latest?
We were talking about the retreat, and I cannot not be excited. Like, every time anyone mentions it, I just get so giddy and excited, and yeah. So there's that. How are you? Well, what's new with you?
Well, I mean, I just got back from Dallas, as I said.
Well, that's not new since earlier. Is there anything else we should know? Or should we just jump right in? Because also, I'm not going to lie, I really, 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 really want to know your answers to these questions.
I know. I'm excited to jump on in, to be honest. I can't wait.
What are we actually doing? Do you want to tell the humans what we're doing today?
Yes. So, lovely humans, we wanted to let all of you know more about us so you can get to know us as humans, not just as recovery coaches. So today we're going to be answering fun questions about ourselves, as well as some recovery questions about our journeys. So it's a little bit more of an informal Q&A today.
Yeah, it will probably be part 1 and part 2. Let's be realistic.
Yes.
So, just tune in next week for the second part. I'm pretty confident this is needed here.
This is going to be a long one. This one's going to be a doozy. It's going to be a big...
All right. Are you ready?
Ready as I'll ever be.
Okay. The first one is a warm-up question.
Okay.
What is the best ice cream order?
Oh, well, first of all, ice cream is important to me. It's very important. Another fun fact, my grandfather got fired as a teenager from an ice cream parlor for scooping too much ice cream to the people who came to the parlor. He got fired. He was losing the parlor money because he would scoop epic scoops.
Aw, he was fired for being too generous.
He was fired for being too generous. And so
that sounds so wrong.
He set the precedent for the family, servings must be half a gallon.
I have no idea what size that is, but it sounds like a reasonable size.
Pretty big. And he had a scooper that mooed. You press a button, it goes moo like a cow.
Aww.
So it's very much connected to my grandfather. But my favorite ice cream order is actually a hot brownie sundae. So you get the brownie in a skillet and then a scoop of vanilla ice cream or 2 scoops of vanilla ice cream on top with hot fudge and whipped cream and maybe sprinkles and a cherry on top or something like that. That is my favorite. That is that is my favorite dessert.
Wow. You went in a different direction than I expected. I thought we were talking about just putting a few scoops in a little, cookie thing, and then that was it. But no, we went straight for the very serious dessert.
That is my favorite dessert of all time, so I'm looking for an opportunity to talk about it.
It sounds delicious. And you just reminded me of, because now obviously I'm revising my answer. Like now I'm just like so confused about what I would say.
If it has ice cream, it counts.
So I have 3 answers.
Okay.
It's like,
It's going to be a really long video.
So I had 2 at first, and now you just added 1. Because basically when you mentioned the chocolate brownie with the ice cream on top, I was like, oh, what I really love is anything that is like an apple dessert and that you add a vanilla ice cream to it, and then you add maybe like some sort of caramel. Wow.
That sounds so good. That is a beautiful answer, to be honest.
So you inspired this to me. But then, you know, if we're not going in the fancy desserts direction, I would say either like pecans that are like caramelized in like a vanilla ball. And then the other, because you always need 2 scoops, right? You don't just have 1.
Oh, yeah,
and then the other scoop would be chocolate.
Ooh.
Or if I'm in Italy and it's really warm, then I would be having gelato, then I would have limone and lampone, which is lemon and raspberry.
Ooh.
So here's all of my answers. See, I kept it short.
Those answers, your combos, the flavors, flavor bombs all over the place, as they say on the Food Network.
I don't know. I don't have the Food Network. But there is one thing, though. I do not mix my fruit and my chocolate taste.
I knew
that is a no.
I knew we were alike.
That is a no.
This is literally the exact reason why we get along so well. Because people who combine the chocolate taste and the fruit taste, like,
what are you doing?
Sociopaths.
Like, what are you doing? It's just not acceptable. So
I used to actually like judge people kind of harshly on their ice cream choices when I was younger as a joke. I don't do this anymore, but like if I was on a date and a guy ordered like rainbow sherbet and mint chocolate, which has happened, or like fruity ice cream with like chocolate peanut butter, I'd be like, it's a no, it's never happening.
It's like, clearly we're not meant to be together.
That was like my reasoning. It was so ridiculous, obviously.
I mean, now it's much better. Now it's like, no, you're cancer. I cannot date you.
Yeah, everything's evolved. Way more
I love this.
Than ice cream combos, but you did so well.
Thank you. I knew these questions were good. Question number 2. Beach or mountains?
I want you to answer first.
Well, what do you think I'm going to say?
I know what you're going to say.
I'm a mountains person. I'm a land human. I have a thing about paths and mountains and hiking and walking, and like in a very normal way, not disordered kind of way, the walking and the hiking bit. But yeah, I'm a mountain human.
I love that. I've been having an identity crisis around this big time. Not really. I'm being a little dramatic, but when I was growing up, I was a total ocean girl, like complete. Like I was a lifeguard. I was a waterfront lifeguard for 7 years, like taught swim lessons. I was outside on the beach all day. I live by the beach, like Connecticut's on the shore. But then moving to Denver, it made me fall in love with mountains so hard. Like I love mountains. I love the hikes. I love the smells. I love the plants. It's so great. So I've been struggling with one or the other, but then let's bring it back to the theme, which is horoscopes and astrology. I am a Capricorn, and the Capricorn, the little like Capricorn mascot is a sea goat, which basically means like the little image of it is like half goat, half fish or something. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong with that. But they love the sea and the mountains. I'm a sea goat. So I'm going to say I'm a Capricorn so I can choose both.
Fine, we'll give it to you. I did not know astrology was the theme for today, but good to know.
Didn't know either. I hope it doesn't continue, to be honest. We really don't need this to continue.
What are quotes or mantras that resonated with you in recovery?
The thing is, I was not a big quote person. And I was really young too. And there was no social media. This was back in the Stone Ages. So I didn't have access.
Stone Ages.
I really didn't have access to any quotes or like inspirational thoughts. I mean, my recovery was so like slapstick. I'm telling you, like it was just such a chaotic mess that there wasn't a ton. I was more connected to my vision than maybe mantras. But I guess if I were to pick a mantra, it would have been something like my worth is more than my numbers or my size, right? Just reconnecting it back to reminding me where my worth comes from, because that was definitely at the root of my struggles for sure.
And I guess that fitted with the vision that you had, right? I imagine that was a big part of what you were walking towards.
Right. I think what pulled me forward was really the reminder that I could get through this. Like, I'm not going through this for no reason at all, right? I'm going to go through this, and maybe that could be a mantra. Like, I'm going to pull meaning out of this. I'm going to make something out of this experience, come out the other end better because of this. I think that's really what was in my heart. So that connected me to my vision, which helped me through
That's really interesting, because I do not have a vision much.
I know. This is like a huge difference.
Yeah, but I know, because I've read about how it's important to actually build that as we get, like, obviously we've been trained to do that and to help people to do that. But I've also read in other books, like as in like outside of our training, like the importance of knowing where you're going, not only knowing what you're like sort of moving away from, and how like they have actual research on this, like scientific research, not just like people blabbing on YouTube, where they show that like when you see where you're going, you're more efficient at getting there, and there's a better probability of you getting there, which I find so interesting, like conceptually, and only reinforces how important that can be in recovery. But yeah, I was a mantra person, but I was not a vision person.
We are yin and yang to each other, so it makes sense.
The yin yang twins forever.
Do not make me start singing the yin yang twins. I will. I'm not going to.
I will make the space for it. You know that, right?
Do it. We all know what song I'm going to sing.
I don't know the yin yang twins. The only reason I know of the name yin yang twins is because you've mentioned it and other people have mentioned it. Where they are.
I'm just going to remind everyone of the song Booty, 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 Rockin' Everywhere, Rockin' Everywhere. And you can just fill in the rest or look it up online. It might bring you back to your middle school dance phase, but maybe not if you're young. Maybe it will make you think of your parents. But
that sounded like I'm having a hard time following the thought, but okay.
Young kids, like their parents might have listened to this, like people in their 40s who have like high school kids. Their parents heard this song. That's what I'm saying. Not like our parents, not our parents.
Okay. I'm going to Google it after this and make sure to have that on my playlist with Lovely Day for next month.
I don't think we want that song on the playlist. We could put it on. We could put it. Actually, it would be fun. It would be fun. But it's a stark contrast to Lovely Day.
Well, we will have contrasting days. So
the song's called Miss New Booty, I think. So just enjoy that. And take it in. It's a poetic masterpiece.
I somehow doubt it based on the lyrics, but I'll give it a shot.
What were we even talking about?
We were talking about poetic masterpieces, quotes, and mantras that inspired us.
That's also a mantra. Wait, but what was your mantra that pulled you through? Because you were a mantra person.
Yeah, actually I had 3 plus 1. That's a weird answer.
Yeah, 3 answers or more.
Well, that's how my brain works, okay? I'm a Cancer. I have no idea if this is a Cancer thing, but it's my excuse. So one of them was This Too Shall Pass. Very common one. But, when things got hard, I was like, okay, there's an end to this moment. So it's safe enough. The second one was like be here now, like really like finding grounding and presence. And that was definitely linked to the fact that I picked up yoga again in recovery. The third one, I cannot even probably quote it properly anymore, but it said something along the lines of go as far as you can see, and then when you get there, you'll see further. Well, I didn't have a vision, right? So
that one's actually kind of appropriate to a lot of life.
Yeah.
A really good one, yeah.
And I needed it because Miss No Vision over here had a hard time with the fact of not having a vision. So that made me feel better about not having a vision.
Right.
So there's that. And then the final one is one that you know, because I've mentioned it in the Recovery Collective. And it's the Rilke quote that I definitely cannot just like completely say like out of memory, but it's on my desk. Obviously, it's on my desk, so I can pull it up and read it. It's kind of long though. So should I read it?
Yes, please do.
Okay. So it comes from a book that is like a collection of letters, and that's called Letters to a Young Poet. And here's what Rilke says. I beg you to have patience with everything unresolved in your heart, and to try to love the questions themselves, as if they were locked rooms or books written in a very foreign language. Do not search for the answers which could not be given to you now, because you would not be able to live them. And the point is to live everything. Live the questions now. Perhaps then someday, far in the future, you will gradually, without even noticing it, live your way into the answer.
I love that one. That's a beautiful one. I remember you have shared that a few times.
Yeah. Again, Miss No Vision over here needed to find ways to be okay with not having answers. Uncertainty, no plans, no vision, like all the things that would drive me nuts, basically. I needed to find some sort of like okayness about. So this helped me a lot.
That one's beautiful. And I think so many folks in recovery struggle with uncertainty, and that gives us a major sigh of relief, right? The people who are nervous about uncertainty, feel uncomfortable, that's going to be such a little bit of a connection to peace for the
hopefully.
Yeah, I love that. So cute.
Basically, like the reason I still have this little paper is that at the time I printed it like a million times, put it in so many different places. And the other quotes I had in my journals, and some of them were written like on an entire page. So I would be able to like go back to them over and over again. So yeah, it anchored me, like the whole, like find something that resonates with you. Let that light your soul on fire again. Like let that make you feel okay. So yeah.
You're such a poetic masterpiece.
I mean, it sounds different than booty, whatever else.
Oh, you're such a poetic soul. I love it.
Aw, thank you.
I wish I had a list of these questions so that I could ask you too.
No, you're stuck. Maybe for part 2, I'll give you the questions.
Okay. Oh, that would be nice.
But until then, what advice would you give to yourself at age 15?
That's a really hard one. I think I would give myself, I would first say have patience. Because I think I was very frustrated with like, what?
If you said that to 15-year-old me, I would have rolled my eyes so bad. They would have gotten stuck at the back of my head.
I would have told myself to have patience, like your time will come. Like I was struggling. I felt when I was 15 socially, I felt really ostracized and out of place. I was very actually quiet, believe it or not. And I didn't have confidence like in social settings. I was really shy. Like people would say like, do you talk? Like people would like, like didn't speak up. So I think like knowing that actually evolved naturally and just like have patience for that's going to come really soon. Like have patience for like your confidence does kick in. But also I would remind her not to have put all of her worth in her appearance because that was a major thing that rooted probably 14, 15 years old of like, oh, my worth depends on how thin I am, how pretty I am, what clothes I wear, all of that stuff. And yeah, I would definitely try to remind her that there are other ways to measure your worth. Because, I pursued modeling because of that, right? It was like, oh, I'll be more worthy and special if I go down this path. When really I could have gone down like so many paths unrelated to appearance, right? So that impacted my whole life. Like my choice to do modeling instead of go to school impacted where I chose to go to school. It impacted when I chose to go to school. I didn't take certain scholarships because of that. And then, there were so many butterfly effect things to me anchoring my worth on my appearance and like doing modeling. I don't think I would want her to do that again.
But then you wouldn't be a recovery coach.
That's true. I mean, like, okay, so obviously I don't have major regrets where I'm like sitting here being like, why? But I do
of course.
think I would have guided her.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, honestly, though, because like, when earlier I said I would have rolled my eyes, like I do believe I would have rolled my eyes. But do you believe you would have? Like, would you have listened to current you giving younger you the tips? Or would you have been like, whatever, old lady?
Me coming inside my form, like 32-year-old me being like, hey, 15-year-old self.
Or someone that you really trust, right? That tells you those things. I don't know.
Think if it came from me, like I was able to just poof out of the clouds and be like, hello, I'm yourself 17 years from now. Like I would have listened to me. I would have listened to me because I've been like, she's lived it. She knows. I trust that. But if it was an adult, I probably would have been like, that's such a vague, stupid piece of advice.
It's like, yeah, whatever.
In my mind, like as a 15-year-old, advice can't just be like vague. It needs to be very like, being patient feels very vague and elusive. Not really to me now, but when I was younger, that would have been like, that's not really advice. That's like a cop-out. I don't think I would have seen it as actual advice or wisdom.
So if current you had come up, like poof out of the clouds or whatever, you feel like you would have been ready to receive that?
Yes, from my current self.
Aw, that's nice.
I was very smart. I think I would have been like, that's me. I know that's me. She's lived my life. I need to trust her. I think I would have thought like that. I really do. I don't think I would have been defiant towards my older self. I don't think I would have been.
That's nice.
I wasn't like super, I actually am okay with authority. I'm just not good at being told directions, according to the people who trained me how to be a life coach in 2014.
Okay. If you say so. No, that's interesting because like I really struggle with that question because I really have the feeling that I would be like, whatever. Like
you probably would have if that's what you feel.
Because I feel like so often there's that other quote that says like, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. Where it's like, until you're in that space, in that moment in life, in that momentum, in that context, in that state of mind, in that whatever, are you really going to be able to, take it in? I don't know. Like, I feel like sometimes I have like realizations and then I tell them to my partner and he's like, duh. And I'm like, well, it clicked today. So I feel like it's not that it was new in absolute terms. It's just that I was finally ready to let it sink in. And I'm just wondering, can I expect from 15-year-old me to not just roll her eyes and be like, one, I must be tripping. Two, do you really look like this at age 32? Have you still no sense of fashion? But I don't know. Yeah.
Well, so I hear you. Like, I believe in that too. Like, when you're ready to learn a lesson is when it will really sink in.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is a bit of a hypothetical where it's like,
of course, yeah.
In my life, there have been so many examples of when like my dad or my mom have tried to teach me something and I just roll my eyes. Like, I've completely been there. I think having it, if it were to come from older me, I would have listened. I would have wised up.
I think for me, it would really depend on what I would have said. I don't think telling her, like, learn to be patient earlier in life would have worked. But I feel like maybe something like, don't take yourself too seriously, or don't think that your choices have such drastic impacts in your life as you think they do at age 15. Because I feel like at that age, every single choice feels like you're deciding the entire rest of your life. And I know that to an extent we can, but also I feel like if I had been told to take a chill pill a bit more often, it would have been helpful.
That would have been helpful, you know? I will tell you one thing I wouldn't have been responsive to, criticism.
Oh, yeah, but I don't think we would even want to do that. Like, we know that wouldn't be helpful.
I understand that. I think if there was any part of me that got offended by what my older
Well, now that's different.
anything, like I probably would have gotten offended first, or
Yeah.
you know, like I was like that type of a kid or teenager. So
You sounded fun. I'm teasing you.
I was so fun. Really loved just focused on my appearance and easily irritated and offended. Whatever.
I mean, you basically defined most teenagers, right?
I know.
So, whatever. I have one last question for part one.
Okay, let's make it quick. Let's make it snappy.
What makes you laugh the most?
Oh my God. This is a tough one, but the things, whenever my sister, this is extremely specific. Whenever my sister, I love this so much. There have been so many moments where we've had to get our hair and makeup done. And like my sister gets her hair done, and my sister's very particular about what her hair looks like. And when they screw up her hair and she's sitting in the hairstylist thing, this is like at weddings or like fashion stuff or whatever, and she's seething angry and like they're massively messing up her hair, and she's looking at me like she wants to die, and then she also doesn't want to offend the hairstylist. I will collapse on the ground laughing. Like, this has happened multiple times in our life. Multiple times.
I see. So you like to see your sister suffer.
I love to see my sister suffer like that. Like, we were once at a wedding and she had to pay like 250 euros to get her hair done. We were in Europe. I decided not to get my hair done because I was like, that's too expensive. My sister leaves the hairdresser with ringlet curls. Like, she looks like a doll. And then like by the end of the night, her hair just looked like crimped. Like it was so bad, and she looked miserable, and she I don't know why. That makes me laugh so hard. I think there's probably better things to think of, but that's the first thing that comes to my mind.
Okay.
I've never laughed that hard every time that happens, which is weirdly a lot of times.
Oh, well, you know, that will be your weird thing. That's okay.
What makes you laugh?
I mean, very inappropriate jokes.
I love inappropriate jokes.
And very dark humor.
I love that too. Okay, so do you have stand-up
comedy? No, I don't do comedy. I will, I find it the funniest when it just comes out, you know, of people when it's like in conversations or like in the way you can just like drop it. And it's like, it's just like that I find really satisfying. I'm not a comedian person.
You should be. It's a good life to live.
I don't know.
Like you would probably, well, there are a lot of good comedians out there, but
that's the thing. I think it's because I'm very often disappointed. Like I will try to watch someone and I'll be like, that's not funny, or that's offensive, or, you know, like, I mean, unfortunately, you do have a lot of comedians. I mean, I guess my reference is from a few years back when I tried a bit more, but where I was like, that is ridiculous. Like, that is not even funny. You're like walking over an entire population of people that doesn't deserve to be like laughed at this way or whatever. But hopefully that's passé and that's not a thing that happens as much. And I maybe should give them another try. But like, I feel like when we grew up, it was mostly that vibe of jokes and it just never really sat that well with me. Yeah. So I have never really gone back to it.
Try Netflix. Try the Netflix
Okay.
stand-up. It might be different than like French stand-up or whatever what you grew up with.
I remember like 3 years ago, a friend like pulling up Ricky Gervais, and I was like, that is so like bad.
Yeah, I don't know. I would say there's definitely a lot of offensive comics out there, so you have to like.
So I prefer to just me, myself, be funny and make friends who have the same kind of really dirty humor or very dark humor.
I love that. I love that so much. I've had some great friends who like the shock factor. So like they will just say something really shockingly raunchy, like in a group.
Yeah.
And we're just like, what?
Yeah, I do filter myself out a lot because I don't want to like be that person that just makes everyone feel very, very uncomfortable. But yeah, like the sarcasm and the dark humor just oozes out of me a lot.
Yeah, it's the best. I agree. You know, it's funny because we don't do a lot of dark humor or raunchy humor on the show because it's kind of a professional show.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll have to see more of that on the retreat.
Oh, and like, I mean, I don't do like inappropriate humor with clients, but I will do dark humor and sarcasm with the clients who have the same kind of humor and where I know we can like, we get each other because I can do it.
Yeah.
So that will come out, in a professional setting when it makes sense and it is actually professional,
Yeah.
But yeah.
I like corniness too. Like, that. I love.
Oh yeah. You make dad jokes.
I make dad jokes all day
and
long.
Puns?
And puns. So many puns. I'm like pun master.
Is that one of your nicknames?
Yes.
That is a question from part 2.
But yeah, big fan of like wordplay and puns type. Really, I love tacky jokes. Like if you watch drag queens, they do a lot of puns and like it's great because it's raunchy and it's like dad jokes and puns. So you would love it.
Oh yeah, I love it. 100%.
Yeah.
Like,
but anyway,
like humor.
Any humor is good, but yeah.
I mean, good humor. Any good humor.
Specifically watching my sister get a terrible haircut or hairdressing situation, that's my favorite.
You're a lovely being to be with.
My sister.
See, there I was thinking that having a twin was like one of the best things you could ever experience in the world. And now I'm reconsidering because I'm like, you know what? I'm not sure. It doesn't sound that fun.
Imagine like having your twin sister fuming while someone's putting ringlet curls in her hair.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't even have a sister, so it's really hard. Like my brother does not have hair anymore on his head, so it's not going to happen anytime soon. So.
All right, we should go. Let's wrap this one up. It's been a long one.
And we'll do part 2.
Part 2's coming up next week. Boom, boom. Woo. Peace out.
Peace out. We're so cool.